I just don't understand the process. Calvin Johnson got in on the first ballot. This has nothing to do with Calvin himself. The guy was a beast, but there's no justification when you have receivers, Torrey Holt and Reggie Wayne, that have done equal or greater things. So, Acho, you have an issue with Terrell Owens' criticism of the Hall of Fame process?
I do, big dog, but I do for a couple reasons. Number one, Terrell Owens, you're going to end up hitting somebody with a stray bullet, a verbal stray bullet, right? Like, you end up disrespecting Calvin Johnson, even though you said no disrespect for those at home. Something disrespectful is always followed by no disrespect. So you're going to end up hitting somebody with a verbal stray bullet in the process. But, Sel, my biggest issue is really there will always be problems when debating opinions. And right now, the Hall of Fame process, it's opinion-based. And as long as it's subjective, there will always be an issue with it. So what I propose, Marcellus, is something objective. What I propose is an objective metric to qualify and figure out who should be in the Hall of Fame, at least in what order you should get there. So I have my Acho Hall of Fame formula specifically for receivers. Now, Sel, a 1,000-yard season would net you 2 points. 100-plus receptions in a season, 3 points. 10 touchdowns, 15 touchdowns, 20 touchdowns, 2 points, 3 points, 6 points alike. If you lead the league in a statistical category, reception, touchdowns, yards, etc., 4 points. First team All-Pro, 5 points. You're a Pro Bowler, that's going to get you 2 points. You win a Super Bowl, that'll get you 5 more points. Now, I understand I am not acknowledging mediocrity. I'm not acknowledging if you don't do anything great, but it's the Hall of Fame, it's not the Hall of Good. Based on this Hall of Fame formula, let's look at where some players would wind up. Again, Jerry Rice, the greatest of all time, as we should be able to tell, would wind up with 213 points. Then you see Randy Moss, 103, T.O., 88. But now it gets to what T.O. was talking about. Calvin Johnson at 69 points, and then you see Reggie Wayne at 60. See, I've created a metric of objectivity. We no longer have to care about your off-the-field antics. We don't have to care about you doing sit-ups during an interview. We don't have to care about if you got in trouble or not. I've created an objective metric which would serve the Hall of Fame. That's my formula. That's the only way that we cannot get into these mindless debates every year about who should be first team, second team, third ballots, that is, etc.
Goodness. Do I answer the question? Or do
I'm interested in your feedback.
Yeah, let me do that first. Forget it. It's our show. Let's talk. I like the intention. I like the measurements that you place for every category. The value of the measurements have to be changed because based off of your measurements right here, you trying to tell me that Randy Moss is only half of Jerry Rice? Only half?
That's
okay. And you're trying to tell me that Jerry Rice is 2.5 times better than Terrell Owens? I played against all three of them dudes. Hell no, dog. Hell no.
But isn't that, you said I. Don't you think that's the problem with this Hall of Fame criteria? You said I played against them. So your opinion is now in there.
Yeah, it is, and it's going to be because Julian Edelman about to catch Terrell Owens because all them damn Super Bowls. You got to be careful. Look, I like the values. I don't like the number of the values based on category. But, hey, it's only a 2-hour show. We can come back to that. But great intention there. Now let me answer this question. I'm torn on this one. All right. I have no issue with Terrell's grander point. His grander point is the NFL Hall of Fame is broken. And damn it, it is. And for all of my years, maybe minus the last 5 or so, I thought it was perfectly fine. I thought it was something to be cherished. I thought it was the most exclusive club, especially comparing it to other major sports. And now, because we let personality get into it, you just talk to me about, hey, that's how you feel. Well, that's now how the Hall of Fame voters feel about a player. T.O. retired top 3 in all categories. That's first ballot, bruh. I don't care how many sit-ups he did or didn't do. That's first ballot. And you're trying to tell me it's not first ballot? Now, it's a beautiful story, sad state of affairs that happened in terms of Therese Paylor and the story of him convincing people that T.O. was a Hall of Famer. Read about that story. Amazing. Basically, a writer, brother, stood up and said T.O. is a Hall of Famer because when you look at him, you see a Hall of Famer in not only how he performed, but his contributions, especially to your mindset. The younger generation swore by T.O., as I did, even as one of his peers. That said, I got to disagree with T.O. on his suggestion of the minor point, that stray bullet. Hey, don't be shooting at Calvin Johnson like that. Listen to this line. Calvin Johnson played in 38 fewer games than Torrey Holt and 76 fewer games than Reggie Wayne, but still had more touchdowns. And yards per reception than both of them. Ouch. So they all can be in the Hall of Fame, and I know the order is a problem, but when you look at Calvin Johnson, no shots intended for T.O. or Calvin. We got to bring in Fox NFL analyst Bucky Brooks. So, Bucky, you have an issue with T.O. and his criticism of the Hall of Fame process?
I mean, I have a bit of an issue with it just because I think what T.O. and others have to understand, like, this should be a very, very hard process for you to get into. Yeah. It's like getting to the VIP of the club. Everybody can't get in. We can't let everybody in past the velvet ropes. And so you want it to be very, very difficult. And when we think about Hall of Famers should be the type of guys that when we played on the field, either with them, against them, we saw them, they impacted the game beyond measure, meaning we couldn't tell the history of the game without mentioning these players. And even though I like Acho's attempt to really kind of create an objective measurement where you're using metrics, I think it's beyond that. Like, I've been lucky enough to play or be coached by 12 Hall of Fame players or coaches. And so when I think about the common denominator in some of those guys, Marcellus knows some of those guys, Jim Kelly and Thurman Thomas, Andre Reed, Bruce Smith. When you were on the field with those guys, you sensed those guys played at a level that we could only dream of. Their dominance you could feel, and their dominance transcended different eras. And so I think this process where you have 42 members of a panel who are voting on that, there are a couple former players on that panel, James Lawson, Dan Faust. You have Tony Dungy, Bill Polian, who've been around the game. What they do is they present the cases of nominees, and they talk about it, they shoot it around or whatever. And I know it's not perfect in terms of first ballot, second ballot, how long you get in, but when has the Hall of Fame really gotten it wrong? Are there people in the Hall of Fame that we say are not worthy of being gold jacket guys? And so I know we spend a lot of time talking about when you should go in, and there's a level of prestige to being a first ballot Hall of Famer. But at the end of the day, man, when you walk through the hallowed halls and you're in, you're dancing just like everybody else. And so I know T.O. is upset about not being in there like Randy Moss was in at the first ballot. But, man, he's in. He's a Hall of Famer. He's a gold jacket guy.
Bucky.
I think sometimes you have to let it go like that.
But, Bucky, let me push back. And this was more of a discussion than a debate. I think this is just a healthy discussion than that. When you talked about how you could qualify the Hall of Fame, you mentioned 12 or 13 players just now that you played with or played against or coached you, your personal experience. When Marcellus mentioned how he qualifies his greats, Terrell Owens, he mentioned he played against him. The problem is that's so subjective to your opinion, Bucky Brooks, your experience, and Marcellus's experience. But what about the person who didn't have a good experience with Terrell Owens? Because that's why he ended up being third ballot. Because these writers that aren't all players, that weren't all coaches, didn't necessarily have a good experience with T.O. Could have been on the field, could have been off the field. But so if we let our own personal experience, positive or negative vendettas, if you will, if we let that seep into our opinions, we got the same issue with the Hall. Like when you look at Phillip Rivers, is he a Hall of Famer? Eli Manning, is he a Hall of Famer? If there's no way to quantify it, if there's no metric, we're constantly going to be in debates and in discussions. Because I fervently disagree with anybody who says Phillip Rivers is a Hall of Famer. But I can tell you all the people that played with Phillip Rivers, they're like, yeah, man, he's a Hall of Famer, one of the best dudes I've ever been around. I mean, now we bringing in everybody's opinions and how often Phillip Rivers invited him over to dinner, bro. That's the dilemma at hand.
It is a dilemma at hand, and I'm glad we're having a discussion about it. Let me push back, though, on these writers who, once again, they have their God complex and their moment of retribution and getting back at T.O. Look, I don't give a damn how you felt while you were covering my greatness if I'm T.O. Like, I don't care. If I never spoke to a single writer out there, but I finished third or second all time in my receiving categories, you're just going to have to suck it up. and say I'm a first ballot. And why does first ballot matter? I need to see Bucky's face for this. It matters. Dog, Bucky, you said the VIP, the club, right? Let me tell you, when I go to Vegas, I know I'm about to spend a few stacks. And it's okay, because the experience is going to be worth it. I'm hoping. But if you making me wait in line, dog.
What I pay for?
And then you make me, when I get to the table, I got to wait for my bottles, dog. You know what I'm going to say? What am I paying for right now? Like, the experience matters. You can't make me wait. And when I earned or paid for this opportunity, as T.O. did with his performances. But you know what's wrong with the broken Hall of Fame right now? That it's too late to fix it. Like, it's not just of recent history. Yeah. You want to know why?
Go there, Sil.
Let's go to the beginnings. And, I'm going to sound like a hater, but truth hurts. Joe Namath is in the Hall of Fame. And I'm not taking a shot at Joe Namath. I'm going to take a shot at these numbers. A losing record, 62 and 63. Okay, 4. 173 touchdown passes and 220 interceptions. Bruh led the league in throwing interceptions 4 different years. Basically, Carson Wentz is a Hall of Famer right now. Oh, it got quiet, brother. Let's talk about Lynn Swann. Greatness. Won 4 Super Bowls. We know all that. But he was 12th most in receptions and receiving yards of any player while he played. While he played, of his peers, he was 12th. You know who was 12th this year? Brandon Cooks. Is that a Hall of Famer? Here's the point. We can't fix all these issues. We can't fix when they get in. We can't fix who's in there. But damn, football, y'all had a lead on basketball. Basketball got, man, I ain't even going to tell you about the basketball dudes in there. Total contributions to the sport. They got some bums in their Hall of Fame. And baseball eats its own. They won't even let their best players in for various reasons. The point is, and does hockey even have one? Like, they just go to Wayne Gretzky's house every weekend. I don't know what up. The point of it is, football was in the cherished space. And now look at football's Hall of Fame. It's all a mess.
But, Sel, I think that's when we have to realize Super Bowls have to matter, but we need a way for them to matter for everyone. I mean, look at Michael Irvin. Michael Irvin, if not for them 3 Super Bowls, he's not getting in the Hall. Let's keep it real. If not for the 3 Super Bowls in the dynasty,
I disagree with that, dog.
Compare his numbers. I had to do it this morning when making my little metric.
I don't want to hear it,
compare Irvin's numbers to everybody else's numbers. Outside of them 3 chips, he's not getting in. It sounds apparent that based on what you did with Lynn Swann, outside of them 4 chips, he's not getting in. There has to be a way for us to say, you know what? Super Bowls, Super Bowl MVPs, contributions to Super Bowls, that jumps you to the front of the line as opposed to other people. I looked at it today. Rob Gronkowski, Jimmy Graham, nearly identical stats. They came into the league the same year. Jimmy Graham has played 1 more year than Gronk because Gronk retired. Nearly identical stats. Gronk, 8,400 yards. Jimmy Graham, 8,300 yards. Gronk, I think, 83 touchdowns. Jimmy Graham, 82 touchdowns. What's the difference? Gronk got 4 Super Bowl rings. We say, oh, Gronk, he's a first ballot, no doubt. We look at Jimmy Graham like, I don't know. He might not get in. Damn. What's the difference? It's them chips. I'm telling y'all at home.
And Gronk didn't even play in one of them Super Bowls and still got
Look up Gronk and look up Jimmy Graham, and you will be mind blown. Like, wait a sec. So we have to figure out how to really calculate all this.
I don't want to know that.
See, that's the problem with box score scouting right there. Because when you put Jimmy Graham and Rob Gronkowski on the same field, there's a difference. There's an impact. Like, at some point, you have to feel their presence.
Was it always that way, Bucky?
I'm saying,
New Orleans, Jimmy Graham.
That's what I'm saying. Jimmy Graham gave you 16 tugs in a year.
Graham is like a 4-year span. Are you really scared of Chicago Bear Jimmy Graham? Are you fearful of?
You scared of Wizards, Jordan?
No, we're talking about Rob Gronkowski. And so when we have these debates in different eras, the game continues to change. And so if we're just doing it off numbers, man, we're going to be putting all kinds of guys in. Are we going to say that Wes Welker is a guy that should be over top of all the other guys? Like, come on. At some point, it has to be a little subjectivity.
That's facts.
But here's the thing, though, Bucky. It's like, if we don't go based off numbers, and what you're saying is, yo, Gronk is just totally different than Jimmy Graham ever was. But remember, Jimmy Graham had 16 touchdowns in a season, Bucky Brooks. He led the league with them things. Jimmy Graham had 16, he had 11, he had 10. Like, he was cut from a very similar fabric. Problem was, he went to Seattle, went to Green Bay, down year, Chicago, 4 year. But, like, statistically, removing your opinion, removing my opinion, removing Gronkowski drinking beer on a boat, removing his Gronk spikes, removing all that and all the fun stuff. Statistically, in the regular season, them cats was the same dude.
Oh, okay, we're going to have a fun game, and it's going to be rapid fire. I want you to say yes or no. Should they be a Hall of Famer, even if they're in it? Bruce Smith?
Yes.
Okay, these are my teammates. Yes, okay. Thurman Thomas? Yeah. Yes. Andre Reed? Yes. These are all my teammates. Bruce Smith? I already said him, I'm sorry. Junior Seau?
Yeah.
LT? LaDainian. Okay. Larry Allen?
Duh.
Yes.
Okay, Drew Brees?
Yes.
Whoa. Yes, say yes. Bucky! I'm not done.
Yes, we're going to put him in, but not right away. We got to wait. Hey, it's busy. It's packed in here. A lot of people.
It's hot in here.
Fire marshal.
Hey, go get him.
I got the fire marshal. Hey, Phil, that's how they do you at the club. Hey, man, we got TABC out tonight, man.
Nobody getting in. I got two more. Now, these guys are not in, but tell me if they should be. Rodney Harrison, Reuben Brown. Coming up, Anthony Davis.